My first myth today came in via request, and it asks if there's actually a secret map inside the liner notes of Weezer's Pinkerton album. This isn't a myth, it's completely true, and the map isn't very secret. It's right under the tray liner on the CD version. There's some Italian writing on it that I believe translates into something like Island of the Butterfly, Peninsula of the Dog, something like that. I know I read that somewhere. In it, you'll also find a picture of the USS Pinkerton that has a reference to what I believe were the band's fan club founders or something like that. There's a lot buried in this map. Also, the names that you see throughout the island on the map were all people that the band said influenced the writing you find on Pinkerton. To the best of my knowledge, the map doesn't really lead anywhere except to an album I'm not a huge fan of, but it totally exists. Go check it out if you've never seen it. My second myth was also a request, and it asked whether Larry Williams killed himself or he was murdered. Easily one of the greatest voices to ever come out of Louisiana, you will find his songs covered all across the British Invasion bands, and John Lennon said so many times what a huge fan he was. Now, his death was a bit odd. It happened in January 1980 when his parents discovered his body in his apartment with what looked like a gunshot to the head. It was and remains ruled a suicide, but there is a ton of speculation around what actually happened. Throughout the 1970s, Williams was heavily involved in drug dealing and prostitution and things like that. And there's even a story that he almost shot Little Richard once over a drug debt. Things spiraled out of control very quickly for Williams, and while the police report remains unchanged, everyone who was close to him at the time is sure that this was a homicide related to the life he was leading. This is one of those truly tragic and really unknown tales in the world of music, and due to the way that the police are handling it, it'll pretty much forever straddle the line between myth and truth. So it's up to you what you think. Our last myth today addresses the long-standing claim that Jimi Hendrix was kicked off of his opening spot for the Monkees tour because people felt that his act was a little too sexual. I know what you're thinking, the Monkees and Jimi Hendrix, really strange pairing, why would they ever do it? But they both totally did, and while Hendrix would slam them later in the press, apparently they liked each other. As the story goes, the Monkees asked Hendrix to be their opening act because basically they wanted to see him play live every night. Not a bad idea. So Hendrix plays a few dates, but he gets tired of it very quickly because throughout his show, all of the tween Monkee fans are just screaming, waiting for the Monkees to get on and really not paying attention to what he's doing. This had a lot to do with their audiences being almost completely different. No fault of either band, they just really didn't take into consideration who was going to be at these shows. So Hendrix explains his frustrations to the band and says, hey, can you let me out of my contract? It's just not working out. And the Monkees, understanding and wanting to be cool about it, said, yeah, it's fine. Let's figure out a way to do this. Basically, they went to music critic Lillian Roxon and asked her to write up something to throw to their record companies that made sense on why it was all happening. So she writes this completely fake press release that says parents are outraged, they thought their kids were going to this squeaky clean show and they end up with Hendrix's overtly sexual performance. The joke went completely over the heads of everybody at all the record labels involved, and Hendrix was able to walk away without any contractual issues. So while the incident did happen, it was a total joke played by the band, but it worked. So those are my myths for this week. Be sure to check back here every Friday as I delve into some of the coolest stories in music history. If you've got a myth you want me to check out, email me at thedailyguru@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook right here, and I'll see you guys again next time.